All right, we've got about 5 minutes. I'm going to try to go with these two questions, and sorry we didn't get to all of them. Why don't both of you address, if you'd like to, whether you think Thomas Jefferson or could be defined as a Christian. How would you define Thomas Jefferson?
You know, I spend most of my time in Virginia. You can't say anything nasty. If you live in Virginia, you don't say anything nasty about Thomas Jefferson, although there are people that there's some of Thomas Jefferson's practice is not just theological, but in other contexts, people are not comfortable with it. I'm not going to judge his theology. I will say this, that what we read and what we know, and we look at the Jefferson's own version of his Bible, the divinity of Christ, he pretty much rejected. The resurrection of Christ, he pretty much rejected. What we would call the miracles of Christ, he pretty much rejected. So if you look at, he liked the teachings of Jesus, the Sermon on the Mount, the what he would call the piety. So I'm not going to judge Jefferson's theology. I will judge how was he as a president, and how did he serve as a president. And I'm biased as a Virginian, I think he was a pretty good president, even with his own personal failures and his own personal positions on some things, including slavery, which he was slow to move on, although fundamentally opposed to it, still had slaves. I think he was a good president. I didn't particularly like his theology. In 1976, I lived in Georgia. And I was born in Brooklyn, New York, and I grew up in Georgia. And Jimmy Carter was nominated to be president of the United States, and we all went down to the Georgia Conference Center, I don't even know what it was called then, and Charlie Daniels, they were playing, and everybody was thrilled because the born-again candidate was elected president of the United States. And there are not many policies, frankly, I agree with Jimmy Carter, although theologically we may have, at the time, shared a lot of similarities. So I go back to that fundamental point.